All right, good evening, everybody. It is Monday, October 25th, 2021. I'm going to call the Prescott regular city council meeting to order. We'll take a roll call. Bailey?
Here.
Pat?
Here.
Dar?
Here.
Rob?
Here.
Tom?
Here.
And Maureen is out, so she's excused. Please stand and say Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you very much. Next item on agenda, number 3, again, is public comment. Anybody in the audience would like to speak to the council on anything on the agenda, now is the time to speak, because once we get to the agenda item, you will not be allowed to speak. Step forward, state your name, your address, and give us your 2 cents.
So my name's Mike Hildebrandt. I actually live in Clifton Township, but I'm speaking in regards to one of the last items on the agenda, the letter of intent to purchase property from the city. We're a local neighbor landowner, and 4 years ago, we'd reached out to the city to possibly buy some of the city land. We never got a call up to this point looking to do it. Am I supposed to call every week, every month, every year to get an opportunity? I don't know, but another neighboring landowner had sent a letter to Dave in regards to wanting to purchase property if it was going to be sold. And you had sent a reply back, and I have a copy of my email if you needed it, saying that we're not going to sell, but we will keep you in mind if we decide to sell. So I understand that this meeting's not about selling it for sure, I get that.
Yep.
But there's 3 neighboring landowners that would also be interested in purchasing the whole property, part of the property, so be it. So I don't know if I'm gonna stick around here because it's middle of harvest season for me, so I should be out harvesting crops for the end of the agenda, but I want to make it known that we as a 3rd or 4th generation family farm would be interested in buying some of this land as well, if not all of it, if it's gonna come to that. So I need to know what the next step is in order for us to be considered if evidently we just gotta send a letter and say we wanna buy it.
Are you looking to farm it?
What's that?
Are you looking to farm it?
Yes.
Okay.
But in here, the letter of intent to me is that there's already steps been already placed. Possibly, am I wrong in that? A letter of intent usually means, okay, we're in a business partnership
No.
to purchase something. Is that not the case?
They've talked to the city administrator, and that's why it's come to the council. Is the council even interested in it?
Okay, that's fine. I don't know what.
And
what
it's
step
public
was.
comment, so we really shouldn't discuss, but, all right, anything else?
No, so I mean, I guess, do I need to reach out and send a letter myself if I
We'll
want
let
to
you know, how's
do
that?
this?
Just,
You let me know?
send an email to Matt or Jane, on the city
card.
website.
It's on the website?
Yeah.
All right, we can do that.
First initial,
That's easiest.
full last name.
What's that?
All of them are first initial, full last name.
Okay.
At Prescott
M
City.
Wolf, WOLF, at
Yeah.
prescottcity.org. All right,
Thanks for your
thank
time.
you. Anybody else in the audience like to speak to the council on anything on the agenda now? State forward and state your name.
Yeah, hi everybody, it's Randy Murphy with Sternhouse Chev. Just a couple of quick things. I know I sent you guys all a letter, I hope you read that. I'm not gonna read that out loud here, but hopefully you did get it. Number 2, I know we voiced our concerns, but you know, this is all in regards to the C2 zoning change. You know, our concern with our business becoming a special use or non-conforming is very real. I know 2 weeks ago we asked for that letter from the city attorney. There was just one piece I just wanted to quote here. It's, again, from the city attorney, so it's quote, "So I would say any repairs or alterations that exceed 50% of the assessed value should not be allowed," end quote. So that alone is a huge concern for us, our business. You know, 50% of our assessed value, just our last extensive addition remodel was substantially more than that. And, you know, we're very concerned that this would handcuff us in the future, expanding, upgrading our facility to meet, you know, future automotive requirements, franchise requirements, things like that. So, you know, not being able, you know, so us being non-conforming or whatever that ends up being, you know, we're gonna be going through a huge electrical vehicle revolution, like soon. It's gonna take, and that's a near-term thing, it's gonna take a lot of investment, on our part and our facility, lots of dollars, and, you know, our dealership doesn't want to run the risk of being denied that through special use permits, non-conforming ordinances. You know, we feel we need the city's support. You know, if we need, so repairs and alterations or upgrades, you know, to our facility being handcuffed or limited to 50% of our assessed value would be honestly catastrophic to our business, period. That's to say the least. So I guess we're just looking, you know, we're asking for the council's support, you know, now and in the future, basically. So that's it.
Thanks, Randy.
Yep.
Hi, Scott DeGrosse. I sent you guys a letter. I hope you had a chance to read it. I just wanted to put that into the record that there was a letter sent, and I believe the same things that Serna House Chef believes, is that it will have a chilling effect to put current businesses as non-conforming, and they've spent lots and lots of money to get to where they are. It's a big decision for you guys to make. I would suggest that you tap the brakes and maybe find some other solutions to the potential problems that you see coming down the road. So, thank you.
Thank you.
My name is Patrick Bukacek. I'm with the Mobile Home Park here in Prescott. I sent each of you, the aldermen, a letter, and just wanted, again, for that to record. And I'm just agreeing with everything that Cernal Chevrolet is saying about this. I mean, this is very much going to affect, in our situation, even more so, because on that little strip of land, we have very little investment. So 50% of that little investment is literally, you know, nothing. So it ties our hands from doing anything in the future. And the other part of it is, I'm an old man. You know, I don't know how much longer I'll be running that place. And it's the next generation that's going to be spending the money there. And I don't want to be tying their hands because we leave something like this, you know, happen. And so,
All right.
okay, thanks.
Thank you, sir.
Good evening, my name is Thomas Langenfeld. I concur with everything that has been said previously to this, and I would like to emphasize that written agreements with the city of Prescott aren't worth the paper they're written on anyhow.
We've heard that
You've
before,
changed,
Todd.
you've changed them, you changed the meaning of them, you can change the ordinance, you can do anything that you want to do when you do that. Unfortunately, that is the case. I would ask, sir, the vote was 3-3 last time, I would ask you to please change the vote so this goes away, this can continue on. The people that have just spoken here have millions of dollars invested in this community, millions. And I'm the newbie, I've only been here 36 years, okay? And with all due respect, how much money have you guys got invested in this town besides your house? Any of you? Please, leave it the way it is, because your intent may be good, but I guarantee you, sometime in the future, there'll be somebody that'll come along and they'll take advantage of it. And they'll change the wording, and they'll change the deal, and they're gonna screw our kids and our grandchildren. That's what they're gonna do. It's been done before, it's being done right now, it'll be done in the future. Please, leave it alone. Thank you.
Thank you. Anybody else in the audience wants to speak to the council on anything that's on the agenda? All right, we'll move on to the next item on the agenda, which is the consent agenda, which only includes the regular city council meeting minutes of October 11th, which is amazing.
Make a motion to approve the consent agenda. Second.
Motion made, second, approve the consent agenda and the one item listed. Is there any other discussion on the motion? Not all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is committees. First one's ordinance committee. It's the second reading and possible waiver of the third approval of ordinance 0621, an ordinance to repeal and replace city ordinance section 63524, highway commercial district C2.
I'd like to make a motion to bring this back to committee for further reference.
Second.
Motion made and seconded to not do the second reading, but to push it back to the committee. Is there any other discussion on the motion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Thank you. Next item on the agenda is Public Works. Public Works meeting set for Monday, November 8th at 5 PM. What's that going to be about?
Sorry.
Caught you sleeping?
Will be discussion on a property regarding their water bill, rectifying that, as well as upcoming street projects.
Okay.
And then additionally, one other item that I'm missing right now, but there's 3 items proposed. right now
Okay.
for the public.
So who's on the Public Works? I guess I lost my sheet that used to be on
Me.
there. Rob and Bailey.
Mary contacted us about it.
I think
And Marine.
I'm
right?
Maureen.
Okay, Ron Bailey. All right, so just mark your calendars. Next item on the agenda is the Finance Committee. Do we need, we just met tonight, and so just FYI, we're gonna have our final budget hearing on November, what day? That's off by a year. right?
Yeah, it is off by a year, November 20.
Is it the first meeting or second?
Second meeting.
So it'd be like November 8th,
22nd.
That's
15th
the right
maybe?
year.
22nd, I think.
22nd, oh yeah, everything moves a day.
Yeah.
Yeah, 22nd.
Do
So mark your calendars, huh?
Can we mark that as,
What time?
Well, it's gonna actually
so
be
I
a
can
council
be on
meeting.
Teams?
Okay,
It'll be on the, actually, it'll be a part of a council meeting.
Correct.
10-4.
Are you gonna be on Teams?
Yeah, because I'm gonna be out of town, and I could take my laptop so I could chime in, if you want to do that.
Yeah, can we publish it as a,
Yep.
we'll publish it as a.
And then I'll
virtual-
need to have that put on my computer.
I'll give you an email that'll
Has a
click
link
on it,
to
go
it.
right to it.
Yeah, and then you'll have to download the team software.
Either that or have it loaded before you leave.
Because that's
Yeah.
the,
'Cause I wouldn't
that's
be
when
able-
we're doing the final for the budget, right?
Right,
Yeah, if
yeah.
you want to bring in the laptop, then we can just
Download
load
it and
it.
set it up.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll do that.
All right, next item on the agenda is Parks and Public Property, Mississippi River Parkway Commission funding. Man, I'll let you present your memo.
turn it
Just
to
give a
Dan.
quick overview, or are you going to? Go ahead.
It doesn't matter. Sherry Kwame reached out. We gave money last year to the Great River Road Association or group, and this year they had asked that we help them out again in the amount of $500. The Parks Committee agreed and decided to move it forward to council for approval. And they're gonna be doing a bunch of marketing campaigns for the Great River Road, and there's additional funding coming in through there. So Sherry said she would love to do a piece on our riverfront once we get it done. Perfect. Which would be great.
What budget? Parks, or do we have that other one that we do? Economic.
500.
Wouldn't be the economic one, would it?
Oh, we'll make sure that we find a spot for, it'd probably be under parks.
Okay,
think we
somewhere in
have
the general
funds.
fund anyway,
Yep.
so, all right. All right, any other questions, discussion?
I make a motion to approve the funding for Mississippi River Parkway Commission, the amount of $500.
Second?
Motion made second to approve the funding for Mississippi River Parkway in the amount of 500. Is there any other discussion on the motion? If
This is
not,
gonna be
all in
an
favor
issue.
signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next on the agenda is Riverfront Project, design approval and consideration of the courtesy dock items outside the original scope. Who wants to present that one?
Okay.
I'll take that one, and I'll turn it over to Seth, who's with us tonight from Cedar Corporation. So we have been working our Parks and Public Property Committee as we're working on the Riverfront Project. So far, we have gotten a $600,000 grant through the Wisconsin Department of Transportation. So we've had a public meeting that was hosted this past month on September 22nd, received public input. We've had public input, or we've had discussions as part of the committee and public process as well. So now we're ready to move to design phase. The total project cost, what Cedar Corporation is estimating, is $1.6 million. That does include $316,000 for the courtesy dock, which we have already completed this year and which has been fully paid for. The remaining expenses are $1.3 million. If you subtract the $600,000 grant that we got from Wisconsin Department of Transportation, there is $730,000 remaining to be paid for. Part of that fund, those funds or the money that needs to be spent can be accounted to the water fund for $36,000. So that remains $701,417. That would include design, through which we currently have $654,000 in our TIF under 4, and we also are getting about $400,000 each year in revenue coming in. So with that little over $1 million, we will be able to afford the project as is. Of course, we will have firmer numbers once we actually finish design as part of that. As part of that work at the Riverfront Project, the courtesy dock, there was some required change or required additional work that needed to be done. So I'll turn it over to Seth a little bit to talk about that work.
Good evening, Seth Hudson with Cedar Corporation. Nice to see you, Mayor.
Yeah, you too, Seth.
So the staff report kind of covers really what we did for additional work, but there was about $9,500 in additional engineering work that related to that courtesy dock that we weren't expecting when we first put together the scope for phase 1. So instead of creating a separate engineering scope, we just lumped it underneath that to move forward because we were under a timeline to get that dock in for the summer as quick as we could. So that's probably, it explains really what we spent time on, but handing the bidding, advertising, things of that nature, construction, observation, et cetera, to get that grant, to get that courtesy dock put into place. So pretty straightforward there. I think we covered everything.
So we did get about $36,000 from our insurance when the dock was damaged from a boat. So those funds could be used to pay that $9,500. So there are two recommendations for approval. One is to go ahead with the design of phase 1 of the downtown Riverfront project, and then the second recommendation is to approve that $9,500 to be paid to Cedar Corporation outside our existing engineer contract.
I would make the motion to approve moving forward with phase 1 in the Riverfront project, and additionally approval of the additional change order funds. What was it,
500.
500, thank you.
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made and second to approve basically Cedar Corp to do engineering and whatnot for our Riverfront improvement project, as well as pay the $9,500 that we needed to do in order to get the grants and the docks and everything.
Oh, look, Seth's getting up again.
Just because I'm going to get asked later, so thank you for that. But the next step is we're going to go into full design, which will tighten up our numbers, with the idea that we want to go bid this out end of January, early February to get the best rates possible. So we'll have a cost estimate that's more defined, and hopefully if we have a good bid year, we'll get costs even lower. Just wanted to share that.
Any other discussion or questions?
Yeah, we did talk about taking out the observation decks.
As an alternate. Putting them in as alternates.
Yeah, putting them in as alternate.
Yep.
So that'll be, that'll take another couple $100,000 off the budget if we're gonna be squeaking to get this approved, so.
And same with
just
the
depends on what their
irrigation.
numbers come in at. If they come in low,
Right.
then we can put them in, otherwise we might have to take those.
Take one out, leave one in,
One
whatever.
or both. I mean, we
One or
just need to be
both out.
flexible with it and give ourselves that ability.
I think you put it on the table anyway, so,
Yeah,
all right, good to hear. Anything else, any other discussion, any comments, questions? Not, got a motion made, second to approve to move forward with the hard numbers and then the 9,500. All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is flagging of Mcgee Park approval. Who wants to present that one?
So unfortunately, I forgot to put the map in your packet, but there's a map in front of you that was previously approved at our meeting in September for some of the trails, for a concept plan for some of the trails in Mcgee Park. So the Cooley River Trails would like to move forward with flagging those trails to get a sense of where they would lay out within the park. So that's
And to clarify, it's gonna be this blue one, and then it's also gonna be this red one. The other ones are not in scope right now, so they're only gonna be flagging those two.
So it's these two.
Yep, yeah, so the blue one going into McGee, and then the little red one that
Right, actually,
circles it.
right about here, Dar, I think. That's about Mcgee Park right there.
Okay, they're just gonna go out and flag it, and then they're gonna do this, so when they flag it, it's gonna be the center of the trail.
Also, they're gonna go out and flag the trails.
Yep, and they're gonna be using GIS too to make sure that they have it.
Is there any
Sorted on in June.
cost estimate on that? Just curious.
in terms of the costs, as far as I'm aware, they're just doing it
Yeah, Tim's
pro
just
bono.
going out there doing, if there are costs, it would probably come out of our 50,000 that we have set aside
Okay,
for it.
no, that's fine, just curious.
Yep.
All right, any other questions, discussion, thoughts?
So, was the red trail the ADA?
Yes.
Yep.
Yep.
So do we need a motion to approve this? Or is it an FYI?
We gave a recommendation at Parks, but I would
Yeah.
make a motion to approve the flagging of McGee Park.
Trails?
I'll second that.
Okay, motion made second, approve the flagging of McGee Park trails. And if money, if there's any cost, would come out of the $50 given for the trails. All right, any other discussion? If not, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Next item on the agenda is Cooley River Trails Workshop date discussion.
There seems to be different of opinions on kind of what we need to do, and we want to get alignment with the rest of the council in terms of like width of those trails and kind of the grand scope of the whole project. And that would include other areas that we might not be owning, but we want to discuss specifically McGee and what the resource need would be from us, equipment-wise, if there's any other expenses that we need to chat about. So I think, Matt, you're working on numbers with Mike.
Israel
Yeah,
and-
prelim.
So you want to have a meeting with,
So, in talking with Israel, and we're gonna put the requested data together, information, we were thinking sometime in the beginning of December. That'll give us enough time to,
but then do you want to meet with the Freedom Park people and the city council, a joint meeting?
so we would be National Park Service,
Yeah.
people
So a
who've been
bigger
working
joint
on
meeting
it.
than one.
It'd be Holly, we really want Holly present, probably Tim Wagner, we want there, Israel, there's a couple of people that are on our steering committee as well that'll probably attend, Jeff Ruley, and
Yep, okay.
it's probably a
So
big
you
one.
want to pick a date, is that what you're thinking?
Yeah,
And we're thinking December?
yep.
You want to do it on the Monday the 20th, which is just for Christmas, or you want to do it on like a Tuesday or Wednesday or Thursday?
I would prefer to do it before the week of Christmas.
Yeah, I figured that too.
Yeah,
So then you want to do it Tuesday?
I could do it Tuesday.
Wednesday?
Would you want to do the 7th? Would that work with everybody? December the 7th?
Could we do the next week on the, oh no,
Fourth.
7th, yeah. Yep. that would
The
work.
Oh,
7th will work?
Yes.
So we'll get a
Yeah.
notice out to everybody so they can get it on their calendar. And
5
you want
o'clock?
5:30 or 5 o'clock, 5:30? What do you think?
5.
5, let's go for 5.
Okay.
Of course Matt wants 5. I got that figured out.
5 works.
All right, let's do that then, 12/7. All right, we got that set. Licensing, is there any reason to meet for licensing? Planning Commission is the first Monday, we got one coming up. Any planning commission items for Monday? First Monday of the month?
Yes.
Okay.
We have a storage unit planning, concept design, and then, have a discussion on the outdoor recreation, comprehensive plan amendment.
Okay, sounds good. Health and safety, downtown update. I see Eric Michaels sent us an update. I don't know if anybody else would like to read it. It's pretty short and to the point.
Looks like September 24th through October 15th, incidents downtown, disorderly conduct calls. There was one call at Two Rivers. Subject refused to leave until Ellie walked up. Subject then left. The second was incident where subject was being disorderly, subject removed from the area. Doesn't have dates for those, but obviously it was between the 24th and the 15th. Intoxicated person, there was one, I guess these would be just incidents, I don't know if they were arrests, but incidences. Boat drinks, subject was expelled from boat drinks, caller thought he was going to drive, subject got a ride home from a friend.
So it looks like things are being under
Things are-
control down there. It's good to see. All right, personnel. Do we have a meeting come up for personnel?
We need to get one, correct?
Yeah, I'll work with Maureen to get one
Okay.
set.
And just get out a notice to the committee. All right.
And you were looking at, in November, correct?
Yeah, like the third week in November sometime.
Okay.
Okay, next item then.
Get her
Don't let that
schedule.
fall over, let's see.
No, deer hunting.
Yeah, don't do
I
that.
leave on the, I'll be gone on the 19th through the week of Thanksgiving. So, I mean, anytime before that, so I mean, it could be,
Okay,
and I have a closing on my house on the 15th.
okay.
All right. Then, all right, then we're to communications and new business. Public comment on anything that they want to bring up, now would be the time to step forward, state your name, and give us your comments. There'll be no discussion, but state
I
your
will
name.
comment on the C2 that we just sent back. I mean, we're going to send this back, obviously, to the planning commission, correct?
Ordinance.
Ordinance?
Ordinance,
You want to do
probably.
ordinance? Okay. Because I do believe that we still need to move forward with this. Obviously, this is a process. This is, why I decided to move forward with the first reading, so that we could take a look at what Phil came back to us, and my decision was based off of some of the verbiage in Phil's letter, that we need to take this back, and we'll go to ordinance then. But I do believe we still need to look at some revisions with not only existing businesses, but any new businesses that come here in regards to, I guess in regards to what is acceptable within a property and what is adaptable within a property. What was, acceptable and adaptable 30 years ago may not be now. And I do believe that we need to continue to, take a look at this and come up with an agreeable, an agreeable ordinance that would not only be acceptable to the business owners, but to the council and to the city of Prescott.
Are you
So I
thinking
just
more
want
like
that to be
holistically?
stated. Pardon?
Are you thinking more like holistically, like a whole view of zoning instead of just C2?
Well, I mean, I think that there are issues with our zoning, for sure, and to say that, holistically looking at that, it's also a very difficult thing to do.
Yeah,
So I
that's
realize
kinda what I'm
that's very
wondering.
time consuming.
Yeah.
So, it's, honestly, it's been something that probably should have been done a long time ago,
Oh,
and
yeah.
we need to look at that as maybe being the symptom of other things that are happening that we need to look at as we grow and as we change, and so that's why I chose to go back to ordinance. I thought it was going back to the planning commission, but that's fine, you can go to ordinance.
And I know Matt and I had a little discussion too. Part of it, even tonight, now you hear, concerns of property owners. First of all, we have to make them feel comfortable with what we're gonna do is not gonna affect them the way they feel it's going to. And again, everyone has an opinion, it's not wrong, it's just right now they feel threatened by it.
Right.
So what we have to do is find a way of, and again, some people disagree, but we'll do it in writing and record it or whatever, but we have to have something in writing letting them know that, hey, Matt mentioned, if they come, certain house, let's say, comes today and says, we want a special use, we say, yes, you can operate just as you are, and as long as your expansion and repairs match the building you have, we have no problem from here until kingdom come, maybe it's something like that, and same with Mr. Patrick, and same with Todd, and same with the fireworks. You have a building. We're not gonna put you out of business, you're allowed to maintain what you have, and, that's kind of what I think you gotta do, is you gotta get them to feel comfortable first. The people that feel
Absolutely.
threatened, get them to feel comfortable first, then we talk about the ordinance update.
Okay.
So maybe it's a matter of, again, finding out what verbiage can we get that would say, hey, this is what we can do for you, it's not gonna change, you're there, we want you to stay there, and we want you to be who you are now. And that's what we, I think, have to sell before we go to that ordinance change, so that they would feel comfortable. Because I agree, I think we still need to think of the future, and maybe if they ever sell and it becomes from this to that, a major change, we'd like to be able to control that, I think. That's my opinion. Any other public comments?
Yes. I didn't think that
It'll
this
be a
was going to be
process.
brought up again because I thought this was old business, but as long as you've opened the door.
didn't-
Public comment, we're not gonna discuss it,
Thank
it's
you.
public comment.
Thank you kindly.
So we have two public comments.
Why don't you do this? Current C2 that you have, leave it alone. Any other areas that you want to create C2, you make up the rules. Call it C3, call it C2A1, call it whatever hell you want to call it. But just leave this alone. Because I guarantee you, you guys may not, but somebody in the future will come in there and they're going to screw our kids and they're going to screw our grandchildren. They're going to do it.
Yep, thank
So
you.
leave C2 alone that you have right now. It's a simple process. Just leave it alone. And any other areas that you want to create in the commercial area, write some new rules for it. Go ahead. Then people going in there know what they have.
Right. Thank you, Ted.
But if I want to take my buildings and knock them down and build something else in there, you're going to come back and tell me I can't do it. You're going to come back, if 30 years from now, my buildings get run down, my children, they wear out, and I want to change the use of them, you're going to say, you can't do that. You can't do that. You're going to screw my grandchildren.
No. Well, somebody might. But I
The
understand.
city of
Thank you.
Prescott is going to screw our grandchildren. So
Thank
all
you.
I'm saying to you is, leave this alone. What you want to do in the future, write up a new one.
Okay.
It's a pretty simple concept.
Thank you. Any other public comments?
I think there's obviously concerns that came about for this C2 coming up.
Yep.
So I think a working meeting in ordinance to discuss those, and then if we need to have direct conversation with the people that did have concerns, where it's like, here's the reason why we had a concern, because of X, Y, and Z, and just rip the Band-Aid off and be transparent about it, and be like, this property looks like this, we don't like this is what's coming in, we don't like this exterior, and this is why, this is the vision that we're trying to do for Prescott. And this is not aligning with the current vision that we have, and I just think if we had a transparent conversation, I mean, I don't know the specific reasons
Yep.
right now, but I'm just saying, like, in
No,
our
I agree.
meeting, it'd be great to know what's the problem. And then to have like an honest discussion about it with those owners.
All right.
Because there are problems.
And-
There are, I'm not denying that in
Yeah.
some of those C2 areas.
And-
Well, actually, there's another zone actually that's.
We'll let that go to the committee. We won't keep discussing it here.
Thank
Matt?
you.
Just because since we are discussing it again, and I thought there would be just some
Give
discussion.
me your comment.
We would have during the actual part of the meeting, we didn't. That memo that was sent out to all of you that's included, there are currently 15 properties that are legal non-conforming right now as the code stands within our C2 district. So those don't change, just to be clear. Mr. Langfield's properties are one of them, so those are legal non-conforming right now as they stand per our C2 zoning ordinance.
Okay.
Just wanted to make that clear.
Yeah. So I think the committee can start out again, and maybe try to figure out how can we make them feel like they're not being threatened, and then move forward from there. Okay? Last call, any other public comment?
I just wanted to comment, if everybody's seen the water tower.
That looks awesome.
Yes.
Yeah, it looks
Beautiful.
good, doesn't it? So, and with that, I guess we congratulate our football team. They did pretty good getting as far as they did this year, so congratulations to them.
And go.
Is the water tower back online?
It is.
That's a good thing, you know. All right, next item on the agenda, 1225 Canton Street letter. Just an FYI that the fire damaged building across Highway 10 there on Canton Street has been sitting there with just nothing happening. And so we finally had the building inspector send a letter saying it's time to do something about it. We're not gonna let you just leave it there, it's not barricaded very well. It's gotta be taken down, something has to happen sooner or later, so just
Especially
FYI.
before snow.
Yeah. All right, letter of intent. Now this, of course, people come to the city looking to buy land, and Mr. Hildebrand, who was here earlier, would have loved to bought maybe the land that the Sportsman's Club came and asked for. And so I think the question is, do we put it out for bid? Does anybody want to buy it? Do we sell it to just these people? Or do you say, let's just, if we want to sell it, do we just put it up and get the highest bid, not just someone that's looking for it? So, Matt, you can go ahead and present the letter of intent. We're not gonna.
Sure. So what's brought before you tonight is Mike Westspring and Tim Murphy with Select One Properties LLC has come forward and asked to purchase 15 acres of land to develop a sports facility on it. One of the things that, in terms of selling land, we have discussed is that we wanted appraised before any sale is done. So in looking at potentially selling this land, setting the terms and conditions of what a potential purchase agreement would look like, this is no way binding, other than to say this letter of intent that's being brought before you tonight is just saying that we would not negotiate with other parties, but we would be working with Select One Properties moving forward. As a city of Wisconsin, you do have the right under land ownership that you could sell to whatever property you determine for whatever use, especially if it is for public good. If you so choose to, obviously that is within the council's choice of who they would like to sell city-owned property to. One thing that is recommended from the League of Wisconsin Municipalities is to get an appraisal, and that's one thing that council has looked for in the past and currently wants to do with all of the land, which is a good policy moving forward of appraising all land before it is sold or purchased So what this really does is just sets out basic terms. It allows both the seller, in case us, and the buyer to basically say both parties are actually seriously interested in moving forward with this agreement. It is completely contingent on this property, such as is outside the city of Prescott, getting approval from Oak Grove Township and Pierce County, so nothing moves forward until that happens. Preliminary terms does set again, additionally, they've asked for a first right of refusal on additional acres of land beyond the 15 acres. And there is a contingency in there as if the land is not used to build a sports facility within 2 years, it is deeded back to the city of Prescott at that time. With that, I'll turn it over to council for questions and comments regarding this letter of intent.
Any questions?
I have one, concerning the local landowner. He said that they've, put in requests before that they'd be interested in buying it if we were going to sell it. So, I mean, this was like a second or third person who come forward to want to buy some of our land. So if we're gonna sell it, maybe we ought to take on all bidders. If we should decide to sell it. If we're gonna sell it, let's, decide, are we gonna sell it all? Are we gonna parcel it out? There's obviously other interest out there other than just these folks here.
I guess my question would be, and maybe you folks know, maybe you don't know, what was the original intent of the city, or how did the city get this land, of buying this land? Was it for business development as opposed to regressing it back to farmland? And because selling it back to, although I greatly appreciate, and I'd be curious to find out exactly about his story of, wanting to purchase it earlier and maybe being told it wasn't there, it wasn't available for sale, because I guess the intent of the use of it is kind of what I'd be curious about. If it is for development that the city residents can use in some way, as opposed to selling it to, back to farmland where we wouldn't have that.
It was originally bought so we could dump our solid waste from our treatment plant on it.
So
And
we
then we had it
did
as a dump.
farmland.
Right.
It was farmland, and that's where we spread all of our sludge from our treatment plant until they said you can no longer spread it that way.
Right.
Correct,
But then
Gene?
right, but then it was also used for a dump.
Yeah, and it was a city dump for a while,
And
which
so-
can't sell that, have to
Right.
cap it.
We had a cap, so we have some DNR requirements out there as to,
For some of
there's-
the land,
Yeah,
yeah.
for some of the land, especially where the compost site is at. That's kind of where the cap is at.
I
So,
don't think I want like food growing on top of,
It's just compost.
Depends what you can do with that food.
So-
You
What's,
can
I
feed it
mean,
to
is
pigs.
the dump like where the, okay,
Right.
Rob's.
Right under the compost site.
So, again, that's what they bought it for. And I think,
We
we
gotta-
had an appraisal done, and I forget why.
well, because it was offered to us, what was, Melvin Most owned the farm, and he was the one that offered to us, and he offered all of the land out there to the city, and the city thought it was a good investment at that time, so they picked up all of the land at that time. And it's basically been, since I've been here, it's been leased out to a farmer. The times, we haven't always gone out for an RFP, but when he had said that he wanted to purchase it, that was during one of those times we had gone out for an RFP. So right now
We
we
had an
have,
appraisal done then,
yeah, we did,
and then we didn't sell it.
yep,
And then the Sportsman's Club come and
Right.
said, we'll pay you whatever the appraisal was on it.
right,
And again, I think because it was for the public, they thought, fine, we'll sell that 40.
right,
And that's when I think Mike and probably a couple of the neighbors said, well, we would have been buying it too.
right.
And then it's like, well, do we really want to sell a farm unless we have an intent of the money? What are we gonna do? We just want to throw it in the general fund, it goes away. And so that's kind of where we're at. Now, these people, I think, probably would like to build something in the city, but we don't have any land in the city right now available. So I think Matt mentioned, well, maybe our farm. And I think that's where it's gotten to at this point. Now, do we want to do it that way, or do you get an appraisal and then put it out? I think you put it up on the open market.
Well, we definitely have to find out what our restrictions are from the DNR first.
Yeah.
Well, not
'cause-
that 55 acres though. I think that's not
Yeah.
part of, I'm just on that 55. I don't
Oh,
think there's a
okay.
restriction. I know that where the
Right.
compost and the dump is, but I don't think the whole farm is under that DNR restriction,
No.
but I could be wrong.
Yeah, I don't believe it is either, but,
I mean, the whole reason we started talking about it was because it was gonna be something that could be used by residents in the city, I guess, so I'm not giving it back to farmland,
I expressed this before. I don't think it's a wise thing to parcel this out. I don't think it's in the best interests as an investment for the people of the city of Prescott to sell this off at this time. And I believe that it's been a very good investment for the people of Prescott up till now. I have some serious reservations over a sports complex going out there because of the approach road. Anybody that drives out to the mulch pit knows that that is a nasty little corner. And do we want school buses and buses full of children or cars going in and out of there all day long for that sort of activity? Now, I know that this is also Oak Grove. It's just an investment for the city of Prescott. I say we leave it alone, period.
what do you wanna do with it?
Keep it. Keep making future money and keeping our options open. Someday, the city of Prescott may extend that far.
Well, or with the idea that you would maybe sell it as one large unit?
One, yeah.
Okay.
Who's in between there?
who's in between there?
The families that are in between City Prescott and there.
Reddy's, the Aikmans, and the Hubers, and
And those are trusts.
Severinos.
Correct?
Severinos.
A lot of them are trusts in between here and there.
Couple, well, the ones closer to town, ones farther out, I think are owned by Huber and Severino.
Yeah.
They own their parcels. Yeah, and again, I don't say we gotta lot it out, but Tom, we lot out our industrial park. To lot it out for growth would be the worst, but the thing is, your concerns might be the Oak Grove Town's concerns. Fine, you
Yes.
put that in here, but you're gonna put in turn lanes and, whatever. They might have them put turn lanes right there at that intersection. I don't know. So that's something that we can't control unless, you're concerned, but I try to worry about what's in the city limits and let Oak Grove worry about their
I
intersections and so
believe
forth.
piecing it out is not in our best interests.
Nope, that's fine. Any other thoughts, comments? We want to pursue the letter of intent. Dar, any thoughts?
I'm on the fence. I really am. I mean,
I think we get an appraisal.
I think we get an
I don't
appraisal.
think it hurts to get that. I mean,
No,
I'm
exactly.
I'm not.
But what they would like, just so you know, the letter of intent is so that they feel reasonable or comfortable enough spending money to go to the next step of going to Oak Grove and whatnot. If they don't have a letter of intent, then why would they pursue any of the other stuff? That's what they're asking for. Again, though, it doesn't even set a price in here.
They're not gonna get it tonight. I mean,
No.
letter of intent, no way.
No. So just put it this way, let's,
I mean,
we can put it on the next agenda and everyone can think about it, talk about it, chew on it. And then Matt can let them know that the city's kinda, we're not sure if we're interested in selling it. It's kind of a 50-50 here right now, and so to give you a letter of intent, I don't see it happening right now. Does that sound about right?
yeah.
Okay. So we're not gonna take any action on that. Do we put it on the next agenda? Do you want it on the next agenda
Are
or
we at
not?
least gonna get it appraised?
Would you like our
I
land
mean, I
appraised
think we
for?
should at least have it appraised.
I think so,
Is it
absolutely.
gonna cost us any
So-
money to do that?
Probably.
Yes, it will. So the
Then
thing
no,
is,
I don't want to.
the thought is, why are we gonna appraise it? Because we might be willing to sell these people, or we might just be willing to sell it and let the farmers take back what they would love
We
to
might be
have.
willing to sell it to these people.
So that's the intent, what's the intent of appraisal? Are we interested in selling this property?
I'm not.
And if we're interested in selling it, then we should get it appraised.
I'm on the fence.
I am too.
I'm interested.
So we're not even gonna do appraisal, just let's put on the next agenda and we're gonna bring it up again. Everybody think about it for a bit. All right?
Okay.
Sound reasonable? All right. Any other business that anybody has on the council or staff? Nope, Todd, we're done with public comment. You're not,
Oh, you done
nope, yep, sorry, yep.
Okay, I just want to remind you, you're the
Nope.
guys that gave away building downtown for $1.
No, Todd,
Thank you. Good night.
Good night.
all right, any other business, council or staff? If not,
Motion to adjourn.
Second.
motion made, second to adjourn, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank everyone for your participation.
The only thing I was thinking of is a